We are doing Indistractable.
Indestructible. So
Are
beautiful.
you Indistractable, Phil?
I would say I'm somewhere between very indistractable and the distractor.
That is actually very true about you. Yep. Yep.
And I say that with love.
Me too. Yeah.
It's I'm not quite chaos, right? I lack that feminine energy probably.
Oh, you just offended so many people.
And it wounds me so much to do so.
Oh my goodness. So remind me. Actually, let me write this down. I need to be like writing down these topics that we can talk about in the after show because this is something I want to share with you that I found absolutely hilarious because we can't talk about this in
Well,
the
cool. Let's
main.
get through the main show quick, burn through it. No kidding. And then we can have fun.
Okay, so we are talking about the book Indestructible by Near Eyal. Yol. Yol. Sounds like Eeyore.
Yo,
Um,
near.
Near. I mean, I appreciate his first name.
It's kind of fun.
Well, and then his website is awesome, near and far. I mean, that's
That's
awesome.
exactly what I was thinking about the website.
Yeah, like, ladies and gentlemen, if you are somebody who has an unusual name, try to figure out how to take that name and work it into your website because nobody will forget it.
Hmm.
Mic drop. All right, so what we are diving into is Indestructible. And last week we kind of just talked about distractions and things like that in general, and then we're talking about the internal triggers of distraction and trying to focus on our relationships and values to prevent distraction, so to speak. Now we're moving into the next part, which is going to be about how dealing with external triggers, and then hopefully moving into talking about pacts. And no, Phil, these are not pacts with the devil.
Are you sure about that?
Yes,
Wow,
I
so much
am.
confidence. I love it.
I'm always confident. As Phil smirks, like, yeah, right. No, you're not.
No,
Sorry.
no, man. I want you to own that. Should have owned
Own,
that.
own what?
Your confidence.
I have no confidence.
Well, I mean, having it or not, you look sexy to me, so don't worry about it.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so something that's really interesting. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon when you go out. Uh, when you're going out and you with friends and you're having dinner, what often happens? What do you see with people? And Phil, this may not necessarily be. Um,
Are you talking about kids playing on their devices?
yeah, kids playing on their devices, and it's not just kids. Also, and this is I see this big time among the generation behind me. Um, the Gen Z, people have their phones out and they're looking at their phones, and or they. So one of the big things is like there if you put your phone, like just the act of putting your phone on the table is a distraction. Just that
Mm.
act because
Oh, it is for my kids.
oh
If you
yeah.
have kids, like, and you're not giving them the phone, you put it on the phone and watch them just stare at it and drool.
Drool, really? Does that happen?
A little bit exaggeration, but
Is it?
not so
Is
much. I
it?
have boys.
Exactly, exactly. You and I both know how boys are.
Right.
Well, and you know what? My phone just went off. There's an
Oh, see,
exactly
and
what I
you
was about
got
to talk to.
distracted.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what happens is so like you put your phone on the table, and even though you're not looking at it and you're not touching it, some notification goes off. Like these types of things happen all the time. We are inundated with them, and a lot of that goes back to the what's called like the fog behavior model. And it basically means that for a behavior to occur, there has to be a motivation. You have to have the ability, and there has to be a trigger. And that's kind of what's going on with notifications and stuff. The notification itself, like the notification coming up and the sound going off, is the trigger. And there's a motivation for it because we have been trained to think that notifications from our phones are very important. Um, and then on top of that, then the final thing is the ability. Well, if you can pick up your phone and open the phone and look at the notification, you have the ability. So the behavior is already there. So you are distracted. And we, as mobile developers and stuff, we know this. And guess
Mhm.
what? We abuse it to no end. So
We don't abuse it, right?
yes, we do.
No, this is you make it like black hat. Black
It
hat
is
tricks
black
are
hat.
abused. It's not. It's not. When you're able to turn off and modify your notifications, it's whatever you felt was a priority for you.
That is true. But
So it's really customer
we
service.
we put it. Your American is shining through.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Phil and I had a little discussion before we started doing this, and he made the comment that he is American, so therefore he can twist anything. And
Anything. And I'm so proud about it.
that was so good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so okay,
So
maybe,
I was
but I
talking with some
disagree.
friends and they're like, "Well, Mr. American, you lost Vietnam, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because we didn't have the balls to use the nuke again."
It's true. It is
Right?
that
And
is
they're
a
like,
hundred
"Ouch."
percent true. It's very true. Like if we had used a nuke in Vietnam, it would be over.
Right?
If we had used a nuke in North Korea, Korea would be whole.
Eh, I'm not sure. Is there any faults around there?
What
It
do you
looks like
mean?
it's about ready to faults, like kind of like earthquake faults,
Oh, oh, oh. Maybe.
seismic faults. So I mean, maybe it would be an island.
You know, in a lot of ways, that would be horrible for the Koreans. In some ways, it might be good for the Koreans.
Right? I mean, they have a hard enough time getting across the land masses. Can you imagine
I
if you made it into like a pond like England?
was thinking more Taiwan,
Yeah, yeah.
and we just got banned from China.
And we yep. You had to use the T word.
I did. I did. We are. See, this is where Phil is the distractor.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, come on, it's fun.
It was a good
You're so
tangent.
serious.
I try to be.
You can't be all handsome and serious at the same time.
Yes,
You
I
don't have both.
can.
Uh-uh. Not with me here, honey.
Yeah, because you take over the handsomeness.
Right, right. Well, I have to tone down either the handsome or the seriousness.
Dude, there is no way you can be serious.
Yeah, yeah. It's usually not a good sign when I am.
It's scary. Okay. So as Phil alluded, trying to get back to the
Right,
conversation.
right. Bring it back, honey. Bring it back.
So as Phil alluded to, it is on us as the end user to determine what notifications we want to see and which ones we don't. The question that Near poses, and I really do think that this is a phenomenal question. Is this trigger serving me or am I serving it? So what I would say, and this is kind of one of the big things about going back through and looking at a lot of these. So I'm going to skip a bunch of chapters and we'll get back to those. Do, 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 do. The smartphone stuff. Okay. So One of the big things that you need to do, if you haven't done so already, is go into your smartphone's notification settings and turn off every single notification. Okay.
Mhm.
Start there. Then you need to sit down and ask yourself, what do I want to be notified by? Um, do I want to be notified by Instagram when I get a message? Do I want to be notified by my messaging app when my mom texts me? Do I want to be notified when somebody posts to Facebook, or do I want to be notified about the latest and breaking news, all that stuff? But you need to ask yourself that, and you need to ask yourself that in the context of those internal triggers and internal values that we talked about last time. Like, what is your like? What does this notification fit within your values? If you value good, strong relationships with your mom, then you better turn on that notification.
Right? Or for your wife.
Yes. I would say anything for your wife needs to go to the top of the list. Or your husband if you're a woman.
Oh,
Um,
now you're now you're being genderist or something.
I have no
Chauvinist.
idea what you're
No,
talking about.
I don't know.
You're trying something and it's not working.
Yeah.
Um, the other aspect of it is, and I've done this, but I need to do it again. You need to clear out your smartphone's home screen. Um, if you have, if the default settings in iOS and Android is when you install an app, they put the icon on your home screen or on your phone's desktop or screen. So it's always in your face. You need to turn that off. There are settings to do that. And unfortunately, it changes with each update. So unfortunately, you're going to need to go and
So you have
look
to
it up.
hunt.
Yeah, you're going to have to look it up online. And you need to sit down and think
Speaking
what,
of, there's a new update.
yeah, there is. It's annoying you right now, isn't it?
I haven't installed it yet.
Exactly. It's like, no. You there? Okay. It was like, no, you disappeared. I was like, ah.
I just raged against the update. Then
Rage
I'm like,
Against the
wait, I'm not
Machine.
on my phone.
Yeah. So basically, go through all of the apps and figure out what apps you want on your home screen. So when you open your phone, what apps do you want right in your face? That's it. That's all you need to do. And a lot of times you can like narrow it down to like just a couple. And that's what I've done. Then the other aspect of things is that we already talked about a lot of that stuff. So I mean, I think those are the main points and such with your smartphone. Um, the other big one is if you need like stop stop taking your phone out when you're having a meal with somebody. It is honestly, it is becoming one of my biggest pet peeves. Like I'm sitting down to have dinner with somebody and they're putting their smartphone on the table, and then they get a notification and they pick it up and they look at it immediately.
Yep.
I make it a point to never do that. My smartphone stays in my pocket the entire time. And I'll be blunt and honest with the audience. I also have a small group that meets weekly, and I'm getting to the point where I'm about to tell everybody put your smartphones in a basket when you come in the door. We are focused on God right now. We are not going to be. We are not going to. Um, what do you call it? We're not going to be interrupted by our smartphones. And I'm going to tell them,
Yeah.
bring a physical copy of the Bible. I don't care. And if you don't have one, I will buy you one because it is starting to get to a really frustrating point where like people are getting pinged and stuff during that, and it's just I don't it's my pet it's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. The I think everybody should have a copy of the Bible.
Yes,
First of all, a real copy. Even my
yes,
Muslim friends should have a copy of the Bible.
yes.
Secondly, you should write in it.
Should write in it.
Yep, I'm a believe from the belief that you should write in your Bible. You should take notes, and
Yeah.
you should wear that Bible out. It's not
Yep.
a sin to write in it, to learn, to make notes, to read it
Yep.
so many times that you have to buy a new one every 5 or 10 years. That's
There's
okay.
a there's a really cool if I can Crew and Co. That's what they're called, Crew and Co. They're a really cool book binding people. So if you do wear out your Bible, because very often what will happen is when you wear it out, what will wear out is the outer binding first, not
Mhm.
the inner binding, because the inner binding is very strong.
Yeah, true.
Um, so what they will do, you send it off to them, and they'll remove the outer binding and they'll replace it with a nice new leather outer binding,
Ooh.
and you can customize it. And it's beautiful. The only thing that they cannot do because it's too dangerous is expand the binding. So like what I'm talking about here is a cover. So here's a book, right, and the outer binding is this part right here, the
Yep, the hardcover.
that. But when you open it, and if you look,
Yep,
there's this space right
that
here.
gluey section.
Yeah, and it's how the pages are all held together is like this is inner binding. And what you cannot do when you are replacing the binding of book is you cannot remove that glue that's holding the pages together, because if you do that, all the pages are going to go all over the place
Yep.
and you're going to lose them, and so you have to try and maintain that. So unfortunately, even if you're taking tons of notes and your Bible's starting to get like super expanded and expanded because you're taking notes and you're taping note cards and things like that in there, then you're going to end up in a situation where your Bible's going to expand, but you cannot actually expand it, unfortunately. So,
AI will
but
fix that soon.
I bet. But Crew and Co. really amazing company. If you need to, if you have a beloved Bible that's which cover is um, been destroyed and you need to get a new cover for it. So yeah, and a lot of that is because like I do think like the Bible app is a really amazing tool to use, but the problem is the amount of distractions that occur when you have your phone out, and that's the big thing. Okay, so that's your hacking back your smartphone. Let's talk about work interruptions. So you and I both don't may not necessarily have this issue. Maybe you do because you work in a co-working space. I don't have it so much. But when I was in an office, um, okay, so another pet peeve of mine.
Oh, keep them going.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Today is
I
the
the
Deep
pet
Look
peeve.
into Mr. Hill show.
Yeah, exactly. I hate going into the office. All right. And the reason is not so much like the commute or having to leave my house or any of that stuff. It's because companies way too much these days rely on the open office concept.
Yeah, this is a hazard.
Yes, I think that is a mistake. I think it's dumb. I actually had one company at one point trying and defend the open office concept because they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to encourage creativity, and creativity happens the best in collaboration. And when you can, and we want to remove all of the
You know what
boundaries."
underperformers do?
Hold on. Let me finish this. We
Alright.
want to remove all boundaries to collaboration. So we have open offices and we don't do cubicles so that so that people can turn to the person on the right or the person on their left and collaborate. That is the dumbest piece of horseshit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You Do you know what you're doing when you're doing that? You are distracting the other person. You are preventing the other person from doing the much needed work that they need to do. And you know how I can prove that? When you walk around that company and you walk around their open office concept, what do you see? Look around at everybody and see what they have. Headphones. Everybody in that entire company had headphones on so that they
No,
could
look,
block
there
out.
is a group of underachievers that are massively working on their collaboration skills.
Yes, yes. I'm like these. Sorry, Phil, but I gotta like finish
Get
this.
it off your get it off.
Everybody had headphones on to keep themselves from being distracted by other people, so they could focus on their work and get their work done. uh, to sit there and say and defend the open office concept over creativity tells me that you do not understand creativity, that you do not understand the importance of focused work time. Creativity doesn't happen in a collaborative environment. It does not, because way too often what happens when you get people into a room and to try and create ideas and stuff is that everybody's going to fall in line with one or two ideas, and they may not be the most creative ideas. No, creativity happens when somebody goes out and puts limits on themselves and says, I am going to work and work on this thing for a specific amount of time. I'm not going to let anybody else distract me. I'm only going to use X, Y, or Z. I'm going to blah blah blah, and then the creativity happens. That's what.
Sandboxing.
Yep, that's creativity, not this stupid, idiotic idea of let me talk to you, let me bounce an idea off of you. No, that's idiotic. So what he's talking about
So you're
in
nice. I would
here,
have said that's a little bit lazy at a certain point.
it is lazy. It's late. It's also cheap because now they don't have because now these companies don't have to go and buy buildings or create buildings that give everybody their own office.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's like I said, it's cheap. I have seen some amazing office concepts and stuff out there that I think every company should be implementing. I think they're extremely important. I love the idea of creating a pod, okay, where you've got an open space in the center and you've got a desk and stuff where everybody comes together for meetings and things. And around that pod, around that open space is individual offices, and each individual office has a door so that people can close those doors when they need focused time to focus. I think that's a beautiful idea. I think that's important. I think that's what we should be creating, what we should do. But you know what? Unfortunately, that costs money. And companies don't want to put money towards that stuff if they don't have to. And they have convinced themselves for some reason, or maybe not for some reason, for the reason that I've stated, that they need to do the open office concept. And it's lazy, it's cheap, it's idiotic. It shows me that you do not actually really understand or care about what real productivity, real creativity is. Because and this was the other aspect of it. Like everybody was back in 2020 when everybody started shutting down their offices and stuff and sending people to work from home. They were freaking out. They're like, "Oh my god, how are we going to keep collaborating? How are we going to stay productive? Everybody's going to get distracted at home." And you know what? The other aspect of the opposite happened. People became more productive when they were working from home.